critically analyzing global affairs. The Muckrakers on today's News Talk, TNT.
Tell us, if isn't it not the case that if a ceasefire is brought about by whomever, if a ceasefire is brought about, does that not mean that the momentum that Netanyahu has politically will just collapse overnight? His entire raison d'etre will just grind to a halt and he'll be out.
Possibly. I would say that I would hedge, though, and suggest, first of all, and we're in a new reality, clearly, but prior to October the 7th, Netanyahu was not a militarist leader. He actually was very conservative and cautious when it came to military adventures, unlike some of his predecessors, primarily his immediate predecessor, Prime Minister Olmert, that was very kind of gung-ho, both in war and in peace. Netanyahu is not like that. There is an argument, as you suggest, which is quite possible, that Netanyahu understands that at the end of this war, there will be elections, and he will pay the price with the Israeli electorate. However, he probably looks at it another way. It's not about extending the war or continuating perpetual war for the sake of it. It's about achieving his results. He sets himself and his government very ambitious goals to completely destroy Hamas, to destroy their military capability, and to destroy them as a political power. If he was to succeed in that,
it's not working, Richard. It's not working. You can't come on and tell us that you are destroying Hamas. You're not destroying Hamas. There's no evidence of it whatsoever. How many Hamas people, how many Hamas fighters has the IDF actually killed? You don't know, do you? Because there isn't a figure.
None of us know. But I would say that according to the IDF, and here we have to rely on some verified sources. We've got either the IDF or Hamas, and I'd love for someone to have some form of independent assessment that kind of weighs between the Hamas figures and the IDF figures. But according to what the IDF have been saying, their assessment is that 75% of Hamas fighting force as of October has now been either killed or incapacitated.
I do want your sort of take on a potential solution for the region. I appreciate it's a massive subject, but Martin, if you can give me your thoughts on those.
Yeah, I'm listening to Richard. I really feel strongly that the big problem we've got here is that no one trusts Israel anymore. And they always take the high moral ground. They always have the moral tutelage to dish out in great quantities. But whether you talk about George's reference to 1947 or 67 war, which Israel started under what today we call false flag attacks, or even post 2005, and even today, the idea of Israel talking peace, talking for a ceasefire with Hamas, when you're still slaughtering so many people, so many thousands of people every day in a genocide. You're still killing the leaders. How do you negotiate with an organization whose leaders you're killing every single day? That doesn't seem to be very genuine. It seems to be actually quite delusional. Actually, I don't think Israel has the high moral ground at all, and this is part of the problem. Is it's not taken seriously, and people just simply don't trust it. And some of the things which have shocked me recently when we talk about this morality that Israel seems to cling to, which shocks me, really does shock me. We have statements from a government minister the other day saying that, we could happily justify killing 2 million Gazans, but the rest of the world wouldn't let us. When you hear that from a government minister, and on the same day or the next day you read that the Israeli government have basically stolen $26 million of tax receipts, which are supposed to be given over to the government in Gaza, and said, no, we're going to take this money and give it to the victims of October the 7th. These things are frankly disgusting. They're repugnant, and they don't really shine a very favorable spotlight on Israel. And Israel is now being shunned and boycotted, and the sanctions are just unprecedented around the world. Its economy is being beaten to pulp. That you wonder really, what is the long game here for Israel? What is really, how does Netanyahu get out of this? And and continues when the military is stretched to such extraordinary lengths. I'd really like to hear Richard's take on all this. Does he really believe that Israel has a high moral ground?
Well, I think let's finish on that then, because as Richard says, not all Israeli sport Netanyahu, and once this war has finished, and hopefully will finish, then Netanyahu's got all sorts of questions. 30 seconds, Richard. What is the road to peace, and what's your take on what Martin said?
Well, there's not a lot to unpack there, but let me just try and be as brief as possible. I think peace comes when both sides can reconcile the existence of the other. And as I said, for me, the key boundary is Palestinian acceptance that the Jews are an authentic part of this region and that they deserve self-determination like all the other peoples, of course, including the Palestinians. And that mutual respect and reconciliation is the way forward. And you build that by a coalition of the willing, a coalition of the pragmatists. We've seen it when Israel has made peace with the Egyptians and the Jordanians, with the Abraham Accord. Prior to October, the big talk was about the Saudis. And so hopefully there is that alignment of the moderates to face against the extremists is the way forward.
Okay. We will continue this discussion. I thought it was a very productive discussion. There's lots to unpack. Richard Pater, Martin, and George, thank you both very much. I'll be back with you same time, same place tomorrow. Join us there.
To hear a replay of this hour, go to episodes at tntradio.live.